Welcome back. On today's show, Race Against Climate Change, we've been discussing what we can do to decrease climate change. And joining us in the studio is Samantha Heath, the Chief Executive of London Sustainability. Welcome to the studio.
Hello.
We're loving your title and absolutely loving your name.
Absolutely, yeah.
I wonder why. So, Samantha, what led you to become the CEO of London Sustainability?
Well, we work together. We believe in exchanging ideas, and we believe that it's important for us to live healthily and sustainably, that we need to communicate and share ideas. So we call ourselves a think and do tank. So not only do we have big ideas about how it would be good to live together, but we actually get out there and do it, working with people.
And can you let us know more about the work of London Sustainability?
Well, if I gave you kind of three segments, one is about health and well-being, getting people to exercise more, eat healthier food, those sorts of things that we can do to make ourselves healthy in order to combat the changes that we've got to have ahead of us. We do a lot of work on climate change in relation to helping people stop up the drafts in their home. We work a lot with faith communities, and we find that people who get together, break bread together, pray together regularly are really able to work together to make sure that there's something they can do, making the planet a better place to be. And we do a lot of work on pollution busting. A lot of our communities get out there and measure pollution, what it's like in their backyards, what it's like at that bus stop where you wait every day, outside the school gates. And they work with their local councillors, local politicians, to make sure that the policies, local policies, really are making that difference, so that we're combating pollution, combating the impacts of climate change and extreme weather, and combating just everyday lifestyle. We're trying to support people to lead better lives for themselves.
And you actually spoke a lot about pollution. So I heard, I don't know if I'm accurate, I heard that the government risks being sued for negligence.
Correct.
For, if someone becomes ill in London because of air pollution or something like that.
Yeah,
what's that about?
pollution is a big deal in London especially, but it is a world thing. We're doing work with Nairobi and Delhi at the moment, so it's really quite important to place ourselves. But London has a problem, so does Birmingham, so does Southampton, certain cities.
Yeah.
So, in London, 9,500 people, they say, die every year earlier as a consequence of you get strokes, you get heart attacks, because you take in the pollutants, you get lung cancer, COPD and asthma, take in the pollutants, and we are less able to combat those in our bodies. So it's quite a dementia, apparently, children's attainment in schools, young lungs being exposed to this. Don't want anyone to get frightened by it. What we really want people to do is to eat healthy food, 10 a day, exercise. That will really help you combat the impact of pollution. But what our work is, we're asking to have less diesel, free diesel in London, driving bad cars, to walk and cycle a lot more, and to walk down the less polluted street. Or even if you walk down one side of the street rather than the other, you'll find there is a difference to pollution.
So do you think that there is that it's a good idea to say sue the government to some degree?
Well, there's a couple of things. One is it's actually at the ballot box. Vote. Make sure that the politician that you elect really cares about this sort of thing. It's being part of being an active citizen. I think suing the government has been a good thing because it's made everybody realise just how important this is. But what we do, we're not part of the Client Earth court case, but we do support Client Earth, absolutely. What we're trying to do is work with citizens so that everybody knows what happens every day. So if, for instance, if you're insisting on next day delivery for your goods, if you're insisting on fresh fruit and vegetables every day in the store, what does that mean for pollution? How did it get delivered? There's a lot of things. It's not just about not walking, not cycling, cycling and walking. It's not just about that. It's not just about the car that you personally drive. It's also the goods and services that you buy. So it's really important to think of ourselves in the context of a community. We're not islands, we are a community, and everybody knows that. So it's just a question of how we live our lives differently.
Oh, gosh, unbelievable, isn't it? In your opinion, what's your opinion on Londoners? What stops Londoners from actually living a sustainable life?
I think we're rushed. I don't know how it feels for you. I think that Many people feel that London isn't a community, but it is for me. And we work with loads of people who do get that sense of community. So I think that sometimes we feel pressured not to feel part of a community. And I think that's the first thing. So the first thing is join a community, be part of it at your club, talk to people in the street. You're not mad if you do that, you know.
Exactly.
I think that's, you know, you feel as though another person is really important to you, and you'll feel happier. You know, what's it? Kindness, well-being really derives from random acts of kindness. What stops us? I've only ever lived in London. I've only ever lived in the one square of the A to Z that I live in, and I know people in my street. It's a question of taking time out of your day to talk to people. And I think recognising that the people in the tube next to you are another person might be the thing that really stops us.
I actually have to
agree with her.
You know, I was going to say I have to agree with you, because I come from South Africa. I was not born here. So I come from a different culture, and back home is like everyone is family. Everyone is your auntie, everyone is your uncle. And when I came to London, I was actually set off guard, because I would come in and sit next to someone in the bus and go, "Hi, how are you?" And I was like, so I kind of quickly figured out that that was out of the norm, right?
Yeah.
And I agree with you. It's something that we can do to bring. Go on.
I mean, Muti, you're saying you came from South Africa. I only came from Birmingham. And when I from Birmingham, a couple of hours away. And when I first came to London, I felt exactly like this. I felt like I wasn't in a community, that people were actually too busy to even smile, to greet each other, to even be kind with each other, to help each other. And I absolutely appreciate what you say, because I think that each one of us can take that responsibility. And I taught that. You know, on my road, I took it my point of duty to know my neighbours and to be friendly and to see what help they need, especially the elders and things like that. And I think it makes all the difference.
Because when we're united, we fight better against the challenges that we face. And I was just thinking, we're talking about sustainable life, but for the audience who may not know what is sustainable life, how can we define sustainable life?
Well, the one thing I know about keeping healthy, random acts of kindness makes your blood pressure go down.
Absolutely.
So just remember that.
really?
It makes you better.
Absolutely.
Dilates the arteries, your blood pressure goes down. So it is, you know, the picking up something for somebody or talking to them. Let's start with the easy things that cost us no money. I really would recommend everybody eat locally produced food and vegetables that are in season. And I would say eat less meat. It's not just the cows and their flatulence, which is an issue. It's how much grain you have to feed them in order to produce, you know, it's how much water and grain you have to feed them in order to produce that pound of beef. Chicken and pork less so. I'm a vegetarian and I find it much healthier for me, but it's how you feel in yourself, and some people feel they definitely need meat. So what we do ask is a couple of days free a week is good, or at least have meat just 3 times a week, something like that. Cut it right back. Dairy too, because obviously that's a cow. So I would think we'll start with that. But the next thing is definitely how you live and how you keep your home warm, not too warm because that's not good for the babies and things like that. And elders do need to keep warm. So I would say 18 to 20, 21 sometimes when you're feeling a little bit unwell. That's the sort of temperature that you need to keep it at. The big one, ladies, though, I have to say, is flying.
Yes.
You know, really try. You know, some people say, "Oh, I've just got to dash to Budapest this weekend." You know, do you really? You know, those are the questions that we need to ask. And in the world that we're now living in, you know, do we really need to be judged by our mobile phone? Do we need to be judged by what car we drive? You know, it's a much happier life if we're not judging people like that, and I'm not being judged. So in a sense, it is buying less, and you know, people who do stay and holiday in this country, you know, they're as good as anybody else. It's not that they've just got slightly less money, it's just that they're doing it for very good reasons. So take a train, not the plane, is a big one.
Now, I'm gonna ask this question because I think it will help challenge people who kind of like have a mentality to not be part of the solution. For example, I'm thinking, oh, you're saying for me to stop flying, but if I stop flying, is the airplane gonna stop? There's probably gonna be people on the airplane anyway. So people have that mentality. How is that?
It is
not
a
a
collective. It is everybody doing this together, and I think I'm not saying don't go on holiday. Holidays are good for us. It's just how many times do we need to go? And then I have to be equal. You know, some families do need to get to Granny's funeral, you know, which is the other side of the world. So no, I'm not going to go around preaching to everybody and say this is what you've got to do. I'm simply saying is do not judge people who don't, and then start doing less of it. You know, you can't say, oh, we must go for that hen weekend. Hen weekends can be in Birmingham, they can be in Manchester,
your backyard,
they can be in Scotland. You know, you can have good hen weekends. You don't need to fly. You know, so I'm basically saying flying is a big one. How we keep our home, how we travel around, and what we eat. That's the sort of thing that we need to think about. And it is a bit of common sense. I don't know about you, but I can't afford to pay fuel bills that are too high. And I can't afford to fly all over the place. But also, it's what we buy. And, you know, if someone's got an old granny phone and, you know, so, you know, it's an old wind-up one, don't judge them.
It may sound like a small thing, or I'm going to choose not to fly as much. But if more people choose not to fly as much, then we're going to have less flights.
For sure.
So then we're going to have less pollution. So that's the mentality to adopt, instead of just looking at yourself as an individual, but look at yourself as part of the bigger picture that's contributing towards the solution.
And then think about it positively. Think about it, actually, how do I really want to live? What do I want to give my kids or my neighbour's kids if you don't have it? It's not just all about having kids. It's about how you're happier and healthier by being part of a community and being healthy, eating not too much, just enough, and looking after people around you. So
I was about to go into a rant earlier, and you're hitting all of the points that I want to be part of my rant. Luckily, I've stopped here, but I'm going to take the opportunity. So we were talking about what we can do, what I can do. You know, I can do this, I can do that. But I think if we have individual eyes doing things, it won't be like the lady mentioned in Street Talk, which is the global mission. So how can we? I mean, it's great that I should not fly or I should recycle, but what can I do to bring that knowledge to more of a communal platform? So, for example, I'm a manager at work. So what changes can I make that can impact the whole of the team?
Yeah, I think it's about collective. I think it's about people talking about this. It's not like the first rule of Fight Club not to talk about Fight Club. The first rule of climate change is to talk about it. And to go to work and not feel embarrassed. You know, I think that I talk about it, say, I'm going to save this, I'm not going to do that. And there's sometimes we feel under pressure to say, oh, you've got a new, and you feel good because you've got a new, and that's the thing that makes you feel puffed up and proud about who you are. But it's actually, oh, I got this and it was secondhand, or I'm giving it away, or I'm using less. I think that's the first thing. Talk about friends, colleagues at work. Basically, turn your screens off. Make sure that if it's a little bit chilly, put a jumper on instead. If it's a little bit hot, don't grab the AC. You know, maybe open the windows. It's about thinking before you act, and not automatically assuming. But I think the first rule about climate change is to talk about it. So we go out there and we say, actually today I'm going to go out of my way to try and make that difference. But we can do it collectively at church, at rowing clubs, at sports clubs, at school gates.
Yeah, I agree.
We've got to take our friends and neighbours with us.
Thank you so much for the amount of information you've shared on this show for us. And I think you now have something to work with. You know now what you can do in order to contribute to less of the climate change, right? You know what you can do now. You have tangible things that Samantha has mentioned that you can do. Now you need to start doing it. We're going to take a short break, and after the break, we'll be back with more on the race against climate change.